Hey, it's Dennis. So I wanted to talk a little bit about male sexuality. This is going to be a part one, part two. The first one is just male sexuality, and then the second one is going to be specific to gay male sexuality. We'll see if YouTube allows it. And I want to just quickly start with a story. So this is a true story that this elderly man, he's in his 90s, and he's actually in the hospital on his deathbed. He's going to die, I think, in a day or two after. And so his son is with him, and they're in the hospital. And this poor man, he's in his 90s, and he's in and out of consciousness, and he's hooked up to all kinds of machines. And so the son is next to him, and they're just being together. And a nurse comes in, and the nurse comes in and just checks on things and makes sure everything's okay. And the nurse walks out, and the man who's in his deathbed turns to the son and says, "Boy, she was hot, wasn't she?" Now, and he died 2 days after. So, but the thing about this is male sexuality, right? It's there forever. It's, there's this myth that we all sort of have our sexuality dissipate as we get older. You don't want to think of grandpa with, who's looking at a 26-year-old hot girl. You don't want to think that's how he is, but he is. And it's a dirty little secret because it's unseemly, but it is the way we are. And you have to accept that's male sexuality and not, there's this thing about, pleasures of the flesh, and we can't have that. But it's a reality that we all deal with in our life every single day, all day, every day. It's there. You know what I'm talking about. And it's not a bad thing, right? It is not a bad thing. It's an energy inside us that defines our role in life. It permeates every single part of our persona, whether you like it or not. I do believe in the three parts of a human being: the mental, the spiritual, and the physical. And this actually permeates all three in its own way. This is who we are, and you should not deny it. It should be spoken about. And there are some frustrations, huge frustrations within the male sexual being. And that is just our wants are more often than not, way more often than not, frustrated, right? And there are certain things, most men, we crave variety, right? That's not great in a monogamous sort of ideal, but it is the truth. We do crave variety. Not every single male, I guess, but most do. And you also are going to want what you want. You can pretend that you don't, but inside you want what you want, whether it is a young or old or blonde or whatever. And these things, you're going to want what you want. And if you see it, you're going to look twice. And it's not a bad thing, without, leering and making somebody uncomfortable. But I'm just saying, you are going to want what you want regardless. And people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. And the last, well, not the last, but another thing that we also crave is excitement. I don't care how old you are. That guy in the deathbed, he got a little excited just by this nurse coming over. The excitement is like the fire inside of us that we crave and love. It makes our heart go all crazy and happy. And so, these things are super important. They are part of us. And they're not like, we go into heat once a year. This is an every single day thing. And, some women, they don't want to hear that, that men, their sons, my God, are constantly feeling this way. Now, I'm not saying that we're, these maddened sexual creatures that can't do our job because we're just thinking about sex. There's some people like that, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this thing permeates us always, and it is something that should be talked about, right? And it is. I'm going to also just quickly say that straight men have a bit of an advantage, and that is that their unit, they generally create a family, which is a binding influence in their lives. and it's a super important, wonderful thing. And I know I'm generalizing. I know gay men can do this too, but you know what I'm talking about. It's not that common. We might see a few people out there, but it's not that common. We may be bound to the same person for a really long time, but we don't have that family unit that straight guys generally have. And I also know that straight guys are not immune from the temptations and the frailties of being human. Anyway, I'd like to open this up to just some discussion. Like I said, the next one will be specific to gay male sexuality, and see where we go from there. Thanks.